Good morning, besties. So I decided to put the camera here because if I put it back there, it's dark and the quality is not giving. Wait, one second. Alright, I had to turn down that TV. It was like really loud. Anyways, I'm really hungry today. And I'm never hungry for breakfast, like ever. I usually just take my coffee and go. But I'm gonna start to eat breakfast from now on. Let's try. Anyways, so yesterday I was challenged to draw my childhood. And everything was going great. Like I was like so motivated. I was like, okay, cool. I could do this until I reached a certain age in my life. I have a better picture on my Instagram so you guys can see it better. Everything went well in that drawing until I reached my 7th year. No, my 5th year. 5, 7, I don't... 5. When I turned 5 years old, my mom and dad got divorced. Everyone's story is different as to why they got divorced, and that's always been in the back of my mind, like what really happened, you know. But then again, like I can also understand why it's a touchy subject for my parents, and they both have moved on, you know, so they don't want to talk about it. But I feel like knowing what happened will give me like some type of closure, because it's always in the back of my head. And it's always well, I don't know if it's always on the back of my sister's head, but we always talk about it, you know. Because they never say bad things about each other, so it's like, what went wrong if you guys don't hate each other? But whatever, I guess that's a parent thing. Maybe I won't understand until like, whoa, I don't want to say until that happens to me, what the heck. But I don't know, maybe it's just one of those things that you won't understand until you go through it. So yeah. Anyways, after that divorce, you know, things were like pretty bad, because you know, the thought of not having both parents with you sucks, you know. Until I hit 7 years old. What happened when I hit 7 years old? Well, when I turned 7 years old, I remember sitting at our house, at my mom's house, and we lived on Prospect Avenue in Buffalo, New York. That's how badly this memory affected my head. Like I know exactly where I was. I don't know what I was wearing. I'm not gonna go that deep. So I was in my mom's room. She called me in and she said, I have to tell you something. And you know, the divorce hit her hard, because I remember lots of days and nights that lots of nights she would cry. So yeah, anyways, that's another story for my podcast at introvertclub.com. Not .com, guys, introvert club. So she sat me down and she looked me in my eye and told me, daddy's not your dad. I remember sitting there and I like completely, like literally like right now, just exactly what I just did now, that's what happened at that moment. I like spaced out. Like I just looked out the window from her bedroom and I was like, and then I looked at her, I'm like, you're joking, mommy. You know, like a kid, like you don't know what is real and what's not. And my mom, oh my god, let me tell you, one thing about my mom, she has a really dark humor, and I think I got that from her, but she takes it to a whole level. Like you start to rethink what she said because it sounds so real. So when she said that, I realized that she wasn't laughing. So I was like nervously laughing, and I was hoping and praying that she was joking. And I was like, "You're joking, mommy." And she's like, daddy's not your dad. I don't know where your real dad is, but daddy still loves you, and daddy will forever be your dad. At that moment, I didn't want to believe her. So when I went to ask my daddy, which is, by the way, my sister's dad, he raised me since forever, and I still consider him my dad because I love him so much, and he was like the best human being in my life ever. And I still communicate with him, not as much as I would love to, you know, but anyways, I asked him. I remember sitting down at his house. We were in his living room, and I told him, I said, "Mommy told me that you're not my dad." And he was like shocked a little, or like not shocked, but he just looked at me and he said, "Yeah." And he hugged me, and then I started crying, and he started crying too, and we were just both crying. And he told me, like, no matter what, like, I'm still gonna be your dad, and I still love you, you're still my daughter. But as I got older, things like drifted away, you know. I started to feel out of place because, you know, it was weird. Like, imagine being told at 5 that the man that's raising you is not your dad. So now you're like, who is this guy? He's really a stranger because he's not really my dad. And I honestly, like, I wished that my mom never told me, because that memory relives in my head every single day, and every single day I have a panic attack and I cry about it. Like yesterday when I was drawing this picture, I completely freaked out. I called my sister, and, you know, I broke down her, and she's like, you know, no matter what, daddy still loves you, and, you know, you can come over here and we can visit him and go on a date. And, you know, I started to feel better about it. But it's just to look at him and see and just like relive that day in my head, it's not a good thing. Like, I panic a lot about it, but I'm also glad that my mom was truthful about it and honest about it. So the man that took his shahada, obviously that's my real dad. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I don't know if this is wrong or not, but I have a hard time calling my real father dad, because he wasn't there, you know. And that's like another story. Like, my mom tells me her version of why he wasn't there. He tells me his version of why he wasn't there, and it's just so confusing to me. And I'm also trying to heal from that. I'm not mad at him for not being part of my life, because the man that was taking his part did an amazing job, by the way. Like, I love that man. I love my sister's dad, like if he was my real dad. And I still think he's my real dad. Like, I still have that denial in my head, I guess. And I tell this to my husband all the time, because he notices, like, whenever I talk about him, my sister's dad, I start to cry. And I don't know why I cry. Like, they're not sad, they're sad tears, but they're happy tears. Like, they're sad tears because he's not my real dad, and I go back to that memory. And it's happy tears because he was like the best dad anyone could ask for to me. you know? Because I know if I ask my sister, she's gonna be like, oh, daddy's so annoying, he won't let me do this, he won't let me do that, or like, you know, because that's her real dad. So I think being married to my husband has been amazing, but there are days where he tells me things and I don't believe him. Like, he tells me how beautiful I am every day. He tells me how amazing of a wife I am every day, and a mother, and all these things, and I don't like to believe him. And I think that comes from men lying to me growing up, or people lying to me growing up. I think I've been lied to so much in my life that I just don't know what's real and what's not, and I tend to put that in my relationship with my husband, and that's not good, because you can't base your new relationship off your old life. And I'm working on that. That's exactly what I'm working towards. I'm trying not to put him in the category of the men that were in my life, because I had some really bad men in my life. Like, really, really bad men. And I think everyone has really bad men in their life. And we're in the process of healing. I'm in the process. When I say we're in the process of healing, I'm not just talking about my 27-year-old self. I'm talking for my 5-year-old self. If I can stand in front of my 5-year-old self right now, I would tell her to speak up. I would tell her to tell your mom, talk to your mom, talk to the adults around you, and tell them what's going on, what are people doing to you. That would have stopped a lot of trauma and memories in my head. It's been 22 years, and like, those thoughts, memories, voices still live in my head. I have a very hard time sleeping at night because I think about those things, and I think about other things. So yeah. Well, that was a little deeper than I thought it would be. Anyways, let's move on, because I'm not gonna get emotional in here, and I'm not gonna cry in here. That's embarrassing. Let's make breakfast. I'm thinking some strawberries, bananas, blueberries, toast, and coffee, and a glass of water. Is that what we're thinking? That's what we're thinking. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, because it's looking chaotic down here and very messy. So I'll see you guys later on, or maybe tomorrow.